collect, you should claim for the home office deduction when you have a business, because the IRS looks at it like this. You have a small business, whether it's a storefront or an online, they figure you're doing some kind of work from home and you would need some kind of office space or to do work from home. For that business. So you should always claim the home office deduction for your business. And the Augusta rule just means it allows homeowners to rent out their home for up to 14 days per year without needing to report the rental income on the individual return. Typically means that you can rent out your home or if you have a space to any business, their space to their own business. That's why it's important when you have a business to have a virtual address so they can't connect the two together, because you can't claim you can't do both. Okay, so that is called the Augusta, I always say Augusta. That is called the Augusta rule. That means that you can rent out your home or your space, any dwelling can be rented out for 14 days tax-free. So if you have a business or even your own business, you can rent it out for up to 14 days per year and you could collect that benefit for your business or any other business. Okay, and it has to be your primary residence, or if it's a secondary residence, it would have to be a rental property where you can claim that rule. And, if you have a S Corp or C Corp, you're going to have your K1. Some businesses have K2s, K3s when it's certain levels of the business, but definitely have that. If you have an accountant, make sure they did all your figures correctly and you're claiming all your credits for your business. All right. So that's just a briefing for you guys for tax season. I know everybody, most people, they go to someone to do their taxes. And for me, I feel that's the best option. If you're kind of not sure what to do, or, it's always best either you just take it to someone. There's a lot of different tax franchises out there, or, you can definitely use TurboTax, hint, hint. There's other companies out there, where they have great support and you could do it yourself online and they have agents that could help you. So, when in doubt, definitely, look out for help when it comes to your taxes. Okay. If you have any questions, don't rush anything. Don't do anything that you're not comfortable with or it doesn't make sense. If you feel like you're doing your taxes and it's going left and you're doing it yourself, go to a professional. And if you need any help, definitely reach out to me. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email me at staceytalksmoney@gmail.com. All right. So now we're going to bring our guest on, Miss Beth. She's waiting patiently.
Yay!
Yay!
Applause. Thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Excited to have you on the show. Very, very excited. To talk about your photography and to also talk about, forgiveness, fear, grief. These are two great topics to talk about, and they definitely coincide with each other.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes. You never know how things will go. I'm always telling people your network is your net worth. And we met very briefly.
We did.
At Commons. I want to give Brooklyn Commons out, shout out.
Yes, Brooklyn Commons. Yes, I'm trying to get Miss Joanne on too, but she's so busy too. Shout out to her.
Yes. So it was so
Yeah.
nice meeting you then, and I really appreciate you remembering me and inviting me. So thank you.
Yeah, I always tell people networking, and sometimes it's those small 5-minute interactions. They really do mean a lot. And, I just gravitated towards you, even though we just spoke briefly and I told you, okay, I'll follow up on Instagram and we just chatted briefly. It just means so much. And it's great to connect with good people, just good people. And I'm really happy.
Yes, I'm so excited. You said something when you were talking earlier, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to talk some more about that.
Yeah, of course, sure. So introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, yes, sure. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And my name is Beth Brown, and I also go by Babs of Babs Photography, and I am a professional photographer of over a decade. And I'm also a breakthrough coach, which is more recent in the past couple of years. So most people know what a professional photographer is. I'm a portrait photographer. And a breakthrough coach, what I focus in on is helping women and men to elevate their lives after going through a heartbreak or a trauma so that they can, have healthier relationships, happier relationships, more peace, more confidence, and not rush.
Yes.
Earlier, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about that some more. Yes.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so first let's talk about your photography.
Sure. So I am a photographer. I'm a portrait photographer. And so that means that I have worked with a lot of people. I've seen a lot of different things over my 10 years. And a lot of times, speaking of fear and everything, a lot of times people will say, oh, I'm not ready yet. I want to lose like X number of pounds, or I want to do this or that. And then they end up putting their shoot off for months. It could be like a year or more. And the thing is, you don't want to like rush it and like decide, and just try to book something overnight, because then no one's really ready. But at the same time, you're never married to your photograph, right? You always want to update your headshots every year or so, your branding photos, different things. So, a lot of people are so concerned sometimes about how you look in front of the camera, or, not feel comfortable. But that's my job as a photographer, to talk with people. So making them feel comfortable, relaxed in front of the camera, giving them tips for posing. It's okay if you don't know what to do in front of the camera. Most of the people that I work with don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. That is so wonderful. That's really, really nice. And photography, is that your first love, or is it a side thing? Is it just...
It's my primary source of income at this time.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But that, so that it does go back to childhood. I was always fascinated. My dad had a professional level camera that he would not let me touch.
Of course, back then, no.
He was probably like, fourth grade you. I know, fourth grade you.
Yeah. No. Okay, great. So you've always had that love and that passion for photography.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so did you go to any kind of schooling for photography?
No, my professional training and background is in sociology, French, and teaching, education. I was an educator.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you have a very diverse background.
It is, but it all does tie together. So like for teaching, right? As a breakthrough coach, I teach people strategies for, elevating their lives after going through something painful. In the photography, right? I'm teaching people how to pose, how to feel comfortable in their bodies, right? So there's so much teaching that goes into it. Yes. So
Let's
Yeah.
talk about your coaching, where you coach people in forgiveness and fear and moving on, and how that actually, how would I say it? It aids people in sometimes mishandling their finances, whether personal or business, because it does affect you.
Yeah. So I'm going to connect this to photography. And I say
Okay.
this a lot. I say this a
Yeah.
lot. Photography actually, do you know what it means?
No, I'm going to be honest. No.
Okay. A lot of people don't, but you're going to know soon. So
Yeah.
photography in Greek means drawing with light.
Mhm.
So basically, what you need is you need a light source. So however long the shutter is open is how the camera or how the film, what used to be film, it's now digital, how
Right.
the image is recorded.
Right.
And this is very similar with finances, with ourselves, our lives, just in general, our mindset, because a
Yeah.
lot of times we record things.
Mm.
So from I want to be very clear. I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a neuroscientist.
Right. Right.
Just to be very clear, I'm a coach. I mentor people. I teach people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist. But
Right.
I just wanted it real clear. But from birth to about age 7, we're just absorbing and we're taking things in and we're recording. So like
Mm.
the things we're seeing our parents do, our friends do, just like our environment, our teachers, our classmates, our peers, strangers. You go to the grocery store, right? You see a baby and they're just looking around, right? They're just trying to
Right.
take it in. Like, what's an apple?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're always like recording and we're drawing all these things into our minds, into our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, we may have different things that make us afraid of. Let's talk about money since this is a money show, right?
Yes, we talk about
Right?
the money here. Yes.
Maybe too comfortable with money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And different ideas that we have about money. And so, for
Mm-hmm.
example, a lot of people may start a nonprofit, not
Yeah.
because they necessarily even really want to start a nonprofit, but they
Mm-hmm.
think it's a noble thing to do. And I've had people say to me, I want to start a nonprofit. It's like, why do you want to start a nonprofit? And there's
Right.
nothing against, this is no shade against nonprofits, right?
Right. Right.
But when you're starting a nonprofit because you just want to help people and
Mm-hmm.
but you secretly would like to make some money, and so then
Right.
you're having to put your own money into it, and then you're finding as you're going through it that you're not getting grants or you're struggling to get grants and people aren't seeing the vision or whatever, and you're like, but I'm just trying to help
Right.
people, and now there's no gratitude. So you have to start wondering, why did you want to start a nonprofit?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
what's the real motivation? Are you afraid to be honest and say, I would like to make $1 million every year or $10 million every year?
You're right. You're right. People have to be honest in their intentions, whether business or personal, because a lot of times we see it all the time with these nonprofits, and come to find out, not all, sometimes they steal the funds. It's not distributed the way it should. And it's
Right.
unfortunate. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
And it's not to say that as a nonprofit, you can't make, a lot of money. Rolex is a nonprofit. The NFL is a nonprofit, right? So there
Right.
can be a lot of money that you make in the nonprofit. But at the same time, just like the motivation, are you doing it because you don't want the people around you to think you're quote unquote greedy? Or are you really just genuinely trying to, make an impact
Right.
in the world and use this as a tool,
Right. And we have a question. So, one of our followers is asking, can you have a nonprofit and an LLC? And from a business coaching standpoint, yes, you can. Yes, you can definitely. You can definitely have both. Sometimes people think, oh, can I have both? I can only have one. You can have LLCs, you can have nonprofits, you can have S Corps, C Corps, partnerships. You definitely can have that. But like we said, your intentions, you have to know what your intentions are for the nonprofit.
Yes, you have to
If
be
you're gonna
honest.
Yes, yes. In any business, you should be honest. It doesn't matter, nonprofit or LLC. You should always be honest. So let's talk about the financial aspect of when people are going through trauma?
Yes. So I'll share my personal experience
Yes.
with
Yeah.
finances going through trauma
Yeah.
because and specifically on forgiveness. So what
Mm.
happened with me is I was already a professional photographer. This was obviously before I became a coach. Becoming a coach is after going through everything. What I was doing specifically was I was very angry. I was very angry with myself for things that had happened to me. And then I was also, it was a physical trauma that I went through. And then after that, there was a heartbreak, two different
Mm.
people. So I
Mm.
was just angry and I was ashamed. And I also was not being honest about what had happened to me. So what happened is I kind of started in my imagination thinking that, you know, when you go out, people say, especially in New York City, so what have you got going on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, I don't like when people do that. I think I always let people speak what they're going on with it. So it kind of pressures people to feel like, okay, I should be doing something,
Yes.
when you're not, you feel that pressure.
Yes. And then when I personally, I don't want to speak for other people, but when I personally went
Right.
through trauma, I felt like I had nothing going on. It wasn't that I didn't have anything going on. There were things going on, but it was so consuming, and the anger and the unforgiveness was so consuming that I felt like
Right.
I don't want to have to answer the question of, so what do you have going on? What's good in your life? Like I didn't want to have to deal with any of that. So
We cover up.
I
Yeah, we
became
cover up a lot. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't become a total hermit. I was still going out and about. I was still doing things. And most people
Mhm.
didn't know, but I wasn't as open and I was shut down. So as a result, I wasn't
Mm.
at the same level I had been before. And the other thing is that because I was holding on to unforgiveness, it does, and this is going to sound, I am not new age at all. I teach everything quickly, but it was affecting like the energy I was putting out, right?
Mm.
Like the spiritual energy I was putting out. And in fact, actually, I learned later on, a few years into my struggles, that when you're
Mhm.
holding on to unforgiveness, God does not hear your prayers.
Mm.
So there are verses in the Bible that says, if I forgave you, the measure that you forgive others is the measure that I will forgive you. And if you don't
Right.
forgive others, I won't forgive you. So it's like very, from a spiritual level, very, very important that we have a clean heart towards people. And so
Mm.
when we're in business and we're trying to grow our business or develop our business, and we're seeking help or guidance from God, but yet we're in a place where we're angry, where we haven't taken the time to heal from hurt, we're actually, without realizing it, sabotaging ourselves. Our prayers are not going through.
Mm.
So, of course, for someone who doesn't pray, this might not be relevant, but if you are someone
Right.
who prays, you want to make sure, I don't know who else is listening, you
Mm.
want to make sure that you're forgiving people, that you're really examining your heart so that that channel is open between you and God and you can receive the blessings. What happened is in 2019, the very end, well, a couple things had happened leading up to that, but like my final motivation was, I said, it's going to be 2020 very soon. It's going to be a brand new decade. I don't want to take any last residue of anything from the previous decade in
Right.
to this new decade. And so I really just kind of been
Yeah.
letting everything go.
Mhm.
And so what happened is like 2018, 2019 were not very good years for my business.
Mhm.
2020,
Mhm.
as you and everyone else knows who's going to be watching even the replay, no, it was quite an adventurous year. And as a photographer who works in person, I should have really not been successful. But that's actually when my business started coming back. My business started growing. And so I actually made more money as a photographer in 2020 after I had forgiven, after I'd let go of everything. and forgiven myself, forgiven who I was angry at, you know, it kind of made no sense technically, you know, but it ended up being the start of my business coming back. So yes. Uh-oh, Stacey, did you freeze? Uh-oh. Hi.
Yeah, just stay on. She's coming back, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Stacey Talk Podcast.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Chrissy, here to let you know that the Evening Rush Network now has an app. Yes, an app, you guys, so you can stay connected on the go and watch all your favorite podcast shows. You can download the app at Google Play Store or Apple iTunes. So spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, if you're looking to start a podcast and really don't know how, well, hit us up at the Evening Rush Network at gmail.com and inquire about time slots, pricings, and everything you may need to get started. We got you. Join the winning team, the Evening Rush Network. And also, download that app. What are you waiting for? Get to it.
Okay, we're back with Stacey Talk Money Podcast. We have Miss Beth in here with us with Level Up with Beth. How are you doing, Beth? This is John, the
Hi,
producer of the Evening Rush Network.
It's great to hear you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Stacey will be back in a second, so we'll just keep rolling while she's not here.
Sure.
So, finish telling us about what made you start your photography business.
What made me start the photography aspect of my business?
Yes.
Well, I needed money. That's the short answer. The longer answer is I was teaching when I'm not originally from New York City. I'm originally from upstate New York. And when I moved to Brooklyn, it was 2007 and I was under the Bloomberg era. And he did not believe in giving teachers any raises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I needed extra money. So I had worked with a wedding photographer. So that was my training upstate. And then what happened is I moved down here and I was here for a couple years and then eventually got like a professional level camera of my own. And I ended up getting invited on a film set to do some behind the scenes photography. And it was like an independent film that was being shot. And one of the actors asked me if I did headshots. I'd never done a headshot in my life, but I knew I needed some extra money. So I said, yes. And that was how I got my first client, and that it's gone from there.
So okay, so you started with the headshot.
Yeah.
What made you let me come on so I can see you. So you can see me.
Oh, there you are. It's so much better.
Yeah, I didn't want you to think you were here by yourself. So you started with the headshots and then you went on to doing more photography. Like you said, a lot of people start in school. You didn't start in school. You didn't go to school for it, but you did start in your own lane of fashion.
Yeah.
Where did you see yourself going with photography? Did you see it was going to be a lifetime thing, or it was just a start to get income?
Kind of both. So I would say my dreams or goals for photography are very different now than they were. But at the beginning of it, I had a lot of pressure, and I thought to be a successful photographer, I needed to shoot celebrities. I have, but it's, it's celebrities, to be honest, are just regular, normal people. They just happen to be well known. So that I also thought I wanted to have my photography on the cover of Vogue. I now have absolutely no desire to ever have any of my photos on the cover of Vogue. I don't even really subscribe to Vogue these days and things that they're about. So, you know, I really, what I really love doing is working with people. And I really love seeing how my work as a photographer and even as a coach can make an impact. And, you know, a great headshot for like that very first actor that I worked for, right? His headshot, he booked a lot of work out of that deal. You know, I charged him $80. And I did charge him, even though I'd never done a headshot before. And I think that's important to talk about, is like our self-confidence and our self-esteem. And I think that $80 was probably fair, given the fact that I had no idea what I was doing. And it was literally my first time ever doing it. So, but still, a lot of times people will think, oh, it's my first photo shoot that I've ever done, or my first whatever it is that you're starting as a business owner, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing, I have, you know, I will donate my time. I've donated my time for different projects that I felt were really important, you know, as community service. But there's a difference between donating your time because you feel passionate or because you feel deeply committed to supporting something and furthering something in the community versus giving something away for free because you don't feel like you deserve it yet, or you don't feel like you have the value or the expertise yet. Well, there was something that I had of value and expertise, even though I had never done a headshot before. I had worked with a wedding photographer, and I knew that I could do it, you know? So I didn't give it away for free. I charged them.
So, before I go and let y'all two finish up, I just want to know what you said that you don't want to be in Vogue anymore, but have you been in any magazine?
I have had work published in magazine. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Don't ask me right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Well, I'm gonna let you two finish up your interview, and thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate you too, Don. Thank you. Hi, Stacey. I'm so happy to see you. I missed you. Oh no. Stacey? So anyway, as I was saying, I would encourage anyone who's listening as a business owner to not think about what you don't have, not think about what you don't lack. And this is where forgiveness comes in a lot of times. And a lot of times that, like I was saying before, you know, when we're growing up, or even as teenagers or adults, we start recording these light images or these thoughts in our minds that, like, oh, I have to have this degree, or I have to have that, or I have to have, you know, even to start a business, a logo and brand colors and a website. And you don't have to have all of these things that you often think you need to do to be of value, right? What value are you bringing to people? And so thinking about yourself from a place of worth, and to do that, a lot of times we have to forgive ourselves that we may not have what someone else has, right? So for example, right? Oh, hi, Stacey.
I'm back. I'm sorry about that. My internet is not cooperating with me tonight.
No.
That's all right.
But you're in good hands. You're with the big boss, so you're in good hands.
Yes. I'm enjoying
good hands. Yes.
Yes. So yes. So, you know, sometimes I would think, oh, well, as a photographer, I would compare my work, right, with other photographers on Instagram. Instagram started out, if you were there at the beginning when it started out really as a photographer platform. Sometimes I would compare my work and I'd be like, oh, I don't have this lighting equipment, or I don't have that, or I don't have the next thing, or my photo doesn't look the same as someone else's. It shouldn't, nor should it, because I have my own style. Every photographer has their own style. And so a lot of times, whatever it is, you know, whether you're a bookkeeper, all bookkeepers, right? Stacey, you have your style and your way of working with people. And
Right. Yeah.
another bookkeeper has their style, and it's not like a right or wrong thing. Everyone has their own area of expertise, their own personality, the things that they bring to the table. Like, how do you make other people feel?
Right, right. And I totally agree with that, because I get that a lot in the coaching space. People always want to, well, what can you do for my business? Can you get me $1 million? And it's like, I can't do that. You know, I'll try, but I can't guarantee that. So I feel the challenges too in that space. So yeah, you're always kind of challenged, you know?
Yes. And then money, right? Like, I don't have the money. Like, I'm afraid I can't do it because I don't have the money. Well, you might not have the money. I don't have the money in certain areas, right? So,
Right.
but it's like, how do you make it work, right? So, for example, at one point I needed a new camera, but I didn't have the money for the new camera. But I did have some money to buy a new lens. So what I did was I upgraded the quality of my lens.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to sometimes get creative and figure out, how can I make this work? You know, instead of talking about like, what don't I have? What do I have? You know, instead of being afraid of what I don't have. And why am I afraid of not having anyway? Who told me to be afraid when I don't have?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, most people are intimidated, and then you have to figure something out in order to go to the next level. So it's about pushing. It's about having faith, like you said. Listen, if you don't have that strong faith, a lot of it doesn't come to fruition anyway. So, you know, you definitely got to have that strong faith.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to jump out the window. That's the most important thing. That's what I tell everybody. Don't be afraid to jump out the window. Jump out the window. You might succeed, and you might not. I mean, most, like you said, most famous people, they're just regular people, but they jumped out the window. They took a chance, and that's basically what I tell everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, a lot of people have gone bankrupt in their businesses. A lot of people have started 10, 20 businesses before they had a business that succeeded. So yeah, you really might fail.
Most people switch businesses
on your face
often. Most people in the first 5 years, they've switched their businesses at least 3 to 4 times in the first 5 years of being an entrepreneur. So, and these are statistics, you know, most people, they start one business, it fails, they start something else, it fails. And, you know, until you really get your niche, you have to try and fail.
Well, I feel like we've been conditioned for so long. Like, we go to school, kindergarten's fun, preschool is probably fun. I never went. My mom never sent me to pre-K. I don't know why. But anyway.
Oh, boy.
I went to kindergarten, and I was like, who are these kids? Because I had only been around adults. I'm an only child. I'd only been around adults and didn't know how to deal with people my own age. It's so socially awkward in kindergarten. But anyway, that's another story. But, you know, talking about forgiveness, you know, sometimes you have to forgive yourself for, like, I don't always know what to do. Like, when I was in kindergarten, I just didn't know what to do with my own age group. But yeah, we're taught, like, probably starting in first grade, you have to get the right answer. And if you fail a test, right? And you don't get the little, okay, so I was in the 80s, but you don't get the little scratch and sniff sticker, and you don't get the silly face. And and you start to feel like it's bad. And so a lot of kids get discouraged and they think they're stupid. There's a lot of really awful things that the way the system has been set up, it conditions us to think that failure is bad. And I'm not saying we should aim to fail, but it's
if
not
you don't fail, you don't learn.
the world. And it doesn't mean you're bad. It just means it didn't work out the way you had thought it was going to work out.
And you learn from your failures. You learn, okay, well, I failed maybe because I did this. Let me try and do something different next time. Yeah. That's all you can do. You can learn from it. You know, failures are good. I always say, people, it's either yes or it's no. You tell me yes, I'm happy. You tell me no, I'm still happy. But if you tell me no, I'm trying to figure out, why did you tell me no?
Yes. And no doesn't even always mean no. It might mean you ask, you said, why did you tell me no? You take the feedback, you improve it, and then you can go back to the person and be like, hey, remember that conversation we had? Just FYI,
Right.
I reworked this. You might be interested now. And no can be negotiated. I mean, unless it has to do with sex and you're forcing someone on. Yeah, then no really means no.
That's a whole nother show.
Like, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
All right.
no means no. Yes.
That's not
Yes,
negotiable.
definitely.
Every once in a while, a no is not negotiable. But
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, you
that's
know,
true.
that's, you know, how, and it's crazy. When I started this business, I heard a lot of no. I know, you know, it's not gonna work. No,
You hear a lot of
fail.
no's. Yeah.
And it's crazy that I heard all those no's, and those are the no's that I want to say pushed me to go forward. It pushed me to say, yo, listen, that no is gonna make me go harder to get what I want.
Yeah.
So with all those no's, we're still here after 3 years. We're still consistent, still grown each year to be better.
No's build you
So-
up. People don't realize
so
when you
those-
get that no, it always makes you think, okay, why did that person tell me no? Is it something I did? You know, could I improve on things? Those no's do help. No's help.
yes. But you know, someone who has now, so yes, for like you or me, right? Stacey or Don,
Right.
a no, we can take it, right?
Right.
But there are people, this is so important, why healing, why it's very important as a business owner. But even if you're not a business owner, even if you're professional 9 to 5, you might get a no for like the promotion to manager, or, you know, a leadership or a presentation or something, right?
People take those things very hard.
You take them very hard because
Yeah.
there is something inside of them that's not healed. And so healing is vital. So if we are going to be successful as business owners, right, we have to be healthy emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You know, there's like a lot of physical endurance. We need to have the proper food, nutrition, exercise, you know, like we have to have the physical stamina to keep up, but we also need our emotional health and our spiritual health. And depending on how deep the trauma is that someone's gone through, or the abuse or different things, there is on a spiritual level even something called like a spirit of rejection that can come in and kind of be manipulating the person, and it can make someone really take a no as the end of the world, because for them it is, and it's like a spiritual thing that's weighing them down. And so it's like our spiritual health and our emotional health and our physical health is so important as entrepreneurs or just as professionals. And we can take that into our relationships. Like, what happens when you get married and your spouse says no, or you're dating and someone says no?
Right.
I don't like that restaurant. It could be just like, no, I don't like that restaurant. And now all of a sudden your world is crushed and you think that that person is angry at you and doesn't like you anymore. No, they just don't like Thai food.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
true.
But when we haven't healed, we take things so personally. So that's, you know, as a breakthrough coach, that's what I help people to do, you know, on a, you know, personal and professional level, is healing, going through steps and strategies for healing the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical part, because it's like all intertwined. We can't really separate ourselves.
Do you think sometimes people are emotional spenders?
Yeah. I have
people get into debt because of their emotions. Do you really believe that? Like when they say retail therapy, I think that's a real thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Most people who do it a lot.
They use retail as their comfort.
Therapy. Yeah. But then afterwards, then they look back and they're like, what did I do? And then they're shamed. And so then like my cousin had a friend of hers from college, and one time was he from Rochester? I don't know how I ended up going with my cousin to seeing like his room. He had piles and piles of shopping bags. He hadn't even opened.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of people.
Different things. Like this was, he was like 20.
Yeah.
And it just never opened. And so, there's something, it doesn't mean to beat yourself up. It's just ask yourself questions without judgment, which is like, why did I do that? And you may want to work with a therapist, because I coach, but I don't go through the shadow work or like going back with people. I give strategies, but to figure out what all is going on and how this can be shifted so that we're not, but sometimes it's taught, that's what our parents did. So it's just learned behavior.
We follow what our parents did. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I always tell people as a business coach, get your personal finances in order before you get a business, because you have to look at it like this. If I'm paying rent now, if I want to get a storefront or a business, that's rent twice. Let's just say those are all of my bills twice. Can you handle that? And most people, they can't.
And that's okay.
Right.
If you can't, then you just get yourself and you work with Stacey, for example, on getting yourself to that place where you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, well, I can't do it. And so they quit and they just shut down. But you can. It just might take a few extra steps leading up to get to that place where you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes even with the internet, people see other people thriving in their businesses and they think it happens overnight. And it's not. It's a lot of hard work. You have to spend money to make money. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that you have to spend money in order to make money. So, you have
marketing alone is expensive.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you have to market yourself, because how do you expect anybody else to see your brand? And what
you have to spend on marketing. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. It's crucial.
Yes. But sometimes people are the opposite. They're afraid to spend. They're not afraid to buy the new sneakers, but they're afraid to buy the new headshots, or they're afraid to buy the time of a marketing coach, or they're afraid to buy the time of a bookkeeper to help them get their invoices straight.
I realize that people are just, you remember a few weeks ago with those, I don't even want to give them, but the Stanley Cups. I made a comment on a post and I've never had so many response. I said, people would spend this kind of money on a cup, but if you would tell them to hire a business coach or somebody to help them with their finances, they would never spend the money. And I got so much flack for that. Because I'm like, people are spending hundreds of dollars on a cup, but you wouldn't spend hundreds of dollars to get your business together, to get your finances in order. These things are important too.
Yeah. I mean,
I was so shocked.
It is, but then again, it's like, why is this? Why do I value
a cup more than
entertainment more than going to a bookkeeper? Like,
right.
And you know what? At the end of the day, maybe it's okay where your value system is. You decide. You get to decide.
But then when you're failing, you can't blame nobody but yourself.
You can't blame someone else.
Yeah.
You cannot blame someone else.
Yeah. You have to. Yeah. You got to take up accountability. Like I tell people, you have to take accountability. You can't, when it's your business, you can't leave it up to somebody else. Even if you have a bookkeeper, you have to be able to read those financial statements too. That's what I try to teach people. Yes, you have a bookkeeper, you have a tax person, you have someone doing your books for you, but you still have to be able to read it over and say, well, okay, this doesn't look too right. Can you just explain this to me, or let's go over this? You still have to know what's going on. Because there's a lot of people, even when it comes to the 9 to 5, I ask them, how much do you make? They have no idea.
Yep.
They have no clue.
Right.
No clue how much they make. Yeah. How much their bills are. No idea, no clue.
I feel like this is my theory, because again, I'm a coach. This is based on observing myself, based on observing other people and everything. But, I'm not a scientist.
Right.
Fear is really a lot of the root of it. And so there may be, am I afraid to have someone look at my numbers? Am I afraid to look at my numbers?
Or they feel embarrassed.
Numbering the way I want them to number. And I don't want someone else judging me. So that's where, as a tax accountant or a bookkeeper, You make people feel comfortable and know that you're not judging them, like you're not going to judge them for the $500 they made and the $5,000 they lost. But there's
and that part right there is so true, because that's how I was the first year I had to do my taxes. I was just like, this is embarrassing. I really don't want to get it done.
I think a lot of people
had to get it done.
Yeah, it's embarrassment why they don't want to take control of their finances, or they don't want to seek professional help, because that fear that this person is going to judge me,
Yeah.
What if word gets out that I don't have it together?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What if the word gets out? Here's the thing that I find. When we take our story and we tell it, then no one has to find out. So when we are honest with ourselves and we start also just not hiding in shame, there is healing in talking, right? Part of my healing, I went through a physical trauma. I went through rape, right? Part of my healing for that has been to talk about it. But people don't realize, and people think that holding it in is what's going to make it better, or they can pretend it or forget it away, right? But it's not going to go away, and it's going to show up in other areas. Then you have couples, they fight over money, but maybe there isn't the transparency. Maybe there's a fear to sit down and like share with your spouse, like, this is how ugly my finances are, even before, while you're dating. Maybe this person won't date me anymore if I don't have an 800 credit score, if my credit score is like 500.
People hide their finances, especially in relationships. That's the number one reason that people break up is finances.
Yes, definitely.
It's I think it's the number one. It may be infinite, but I think the number one, honestly, is finances, because people lie.
I think I have to agree with you. It's more finances than it is infidelity.
And on both
because
ends,
a lot of people cannot
to pay for everything. Sometimes the man expects to. It could go both ways when it comes to finances.
Well, infidelity. I mean, maybe you're cheating yourself. Maybe you are cheating. Maybe it is a financial infidelity. By not being honest, by not disclosing, and then it, and you always want someone to think the best of you. So maybe you don't want people to know that you like retail therapy, and so you try to hide it during the dating years. But it's going to come out. Whatever is done in the dark always does come to light.
And it always comes out tax season too, because when that Uncle Sam takes that money, let's say it's the wife, the husband might owe something. She's going to say, well, you never told me you owed anything. And now the money's gone. People have to be honest.
Very true.
Yeah, people have to be honest. Do you owe any debt? Do you owe child support? Do you owe anything? Do you owe anything? You have to ask. And sometimes people are not truthful, and it's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how that goes. Before we go out, ladies, how y'all wanna, Stacey?
Yes, well, Beth, let everybody know how they can reach you.
Yes, so everyone can I show my forgiveness journal, because it's really it's this is my 20-day forgiveness journal, and it's a really great. It's great for if you have to forgive someone else, but the feedback I've gotten on it is it's really great for self-forgiveness. So you can find it on Amazon if you type in 20-day forgiveness journal. You can go to my Instagram page, Babs Photography LLC, and get it there. It's in the link in my bio. You can go to my website, levelupwithbeth.com. It's on my website, and it will take you to Amazon. But because everything that we've talked about, like the shame and the hiding, I don't want people to know that my credit score is like 500. I don't want people to know that I have all this debt. I don't want people, especially if it's a significant other, then there may be things that are inside brewing that you actually need to forgive yourself for. I guess no one needs to do anything, but it would benefit you, you greatly in your business, because self-forgiveness is so important. Then you're not having to compare yourself to all the other bookkeepers in the world, Stacey.
Yeah, definitely.
And Don, you're a producer, right?
Yeah. I'm producer and owner of the Evening Rush Network. Yeah.
He's the man. He's the boss.
So you don't have to compare yourself to all the other network owners or all the other producers because you're at peace with yourself, right? You've forgiven yourself.
Well, I just put mine. I just put my 20-day forgiveness in my cart. I will be purchasing it tomorrow.
Awesome.
So that's to show this love and support that we appreciate you
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. So it's like it's not, this is only going to help you. When I forgave, my business started coming back. And so, and not only that, what I also learned by forgiving myself was how to take control of what I can control, even though there's other things that are not in control. And it opens you up, it frees you to talk and to be honest, even with other people. Not that you should go around necessarily, not all information is for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Not like every first date you go out on, you need to disclose everything, right?
No.
Not what I'm saying. Not everything is for everyone. But you're not afraid to share your story and to talk and be who you are. So yes, get a journal.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Beth, so much. I really appreciate it. And this was a great interview. I really appreciate you coming on this evening with me. I appreciate it so much.
This was so fun. I hope it gave people things to think about. I hope that it helped people, feel more comfortable. And as well, like they can reach out maybe more to you and feel more comfortable working with you as a bookkeeper. Or you done with producing? Like if they have anything to produce, like, oh, these people are really, sincere. They're not here to,
Nah, definitely not.
do anything except to support me. And then if anyone needs any coaching support, you can reach me as well on my website, Level Up with Beth, or Instagram, Babs Photography LLC.
Thanks, big bro.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I definitely, if it's fine with Stacey, I will be getting with you because I would love to have you on my show, which is called The Evening Rush.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely would love to have you on the show and talk more about the book and and your photography as well. So definitely.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right. So guys,
everybody for tuning in.
Your show, so.
Stacey Talks My podcast.
Thank you.
We'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend.
Good night.